Hey YouTube, thanks for stopping by. Due to the 13-month break I took, it's been well over a year since I made any content related to the Minecraft Super RP server community, as I like to call it. And fun fact, I want to say that's kind of what kicked off my channel. Originally, I made Habbo Hotel videos with Jake, just before starting my own series on the new Pop Tropical Realms. And by that time, I was basically in between numerous series until I opened Marvel MC. When I opened Marvel MC, I guess naturally the roots of the other superhero server communities touched with mine. And so what happened was this very welcoming party of gentlemen who came from a neighboring DC server extended their arms to me and helped me with the server in its starting months, and I can never thank them enough. If I remember correctly, they introduced me to the neighboring server, and I asked one of the owners if they'd like to be allies, as a way to get things off on the right foot. Although they agreed, I soon after got into trouble for advertising, as I had mistaken the word alliance for partnership. My overall impression has gone in moon phases ever since. So that's how I was introduced to the community back in 2016. Anywho, the neighboring server was none other than JusticCraft, or JC. This server is one of the longest standing alongside Marvel MC, and notably one of the greatest pillars of the Super RP server community. It's unfortunate to hear that as of this year, the two founders of the server, SupermanDC and SirPalpatine99, have stepped down and retired, leaving the server in the very capable hands of Fabioped and Vort, along with their long history as owners of the server and the roadmap of slowly getting JC to where it is today. Prior to their retirement, Soups, as we call him, agreed to doing an aftermath video to his retirement. And when he approached me after my comeback this year, he noted that we should certainly include Palp. And that's how today I bring you the History of JusticCraft interview, featuring both founders of the server. Hey there, everyone. Alright, so I'm here with the legendary Superman DC. I call him LC or Soups, and his other founder, Palp. SirPalpatine99, I call him Palp. They play the roles of Superman and Martian Manhunter on the server. It's great to have you guys.
It's good to be
Yeah, thanks
here.
for having us.
So, I guess we'll just get right into it. So, the first question here I have is for LC, but it's generic, so both of you can comment on it.
Yep.
LC, I know that we talked about this back in 2019.
Yep.
But I'd like for you to go over it again for all the viewers. What's the timeline of JC, starting all the way back to before it was officially released? From being a Hamachi server, you say, the server that you co-owned back in 2010 or so, Palp's Krusty Krab. Could you basically reiterate that whole history for everyone?
Okay, so JusticCraft has a pretty long story, and there was multiple servers as to how it came into being. It kind of started as this Hamachi server, which if you don't know what Hamachi is, it was where you could make a server easily with your friends without having to port forward or anything like that. So we had the original incantation of JusticCraft, which was just this diamond block server that me and this person called Runaway Giant ran. And at the same time that we were running this server, and it wasn't really DC superheroes, it was just called JusticCraft because we liked the name, and nothing to do with the Justice League or anything like that. But I still wore a Superman skin even back then. This is when I was 12 years old. But at the same time we were creating that server, Palp was creating a server called Krusty Craft, which was sort of like a Greek god, demigod sort of server, more so creative side of things, where he built Olympus City, which is one of the main cities that you can now still see on JusticCraft. So something happened, and kind of the old server, the Hamachi server, went down, and then I was watching the show Smallville, which was a massive influence on my life, and like I was a bit sad that the series had ended, and I kind of wanted to fill the void of that having ended. So I went on to Palp server, Krustycraft, and started building Smallville. And like and I was listening to Smallville music whilst building it, and I was all happy. Um, but then eventually, like I got Palp to watch the show as well, and then he became super invested in everything. So this was probably around 2014 that maybe end of 2013, start of 2014, we began building Smallville. And then I think we didn't finish it till about 2016. And then by the end of 2016, I was like, people need to see this. Let's put this on Planet Minecraft and get the server live. And so we put it up live. Basically didn't get any players for 3 months until the first member ever, Art Girl, who was our first Supergirl, found the server. And then just from there, it kind of snowballed, and we started to pick up heaps of members. And probably 2016 was the most active year of Justice Craft. And I think it was something to do with all these CW shows coming out. There was Batman vs Superman. There was the Flash TV show, Arrow. All those like different shows. It kind of re-sparked the golden age of superheroes. So I think it couldn't have come at a better time for Justice Craft to exist. But yeah, that's kind of the origins of how it all began.
Wow, and I know that you said that it wasn't tied to Justice League because you know you just like the name, but I actually never noticed ever that Justice Craft kind of links to. It makes sense to the AvengerCraft server name, how relating to the Avengers. So now, currently, is Justice Craft related to like that title name related to Justice League? Because I never noticed that if that's the
Oh
case.
really? Yeah. Well, that's why we picked AvengerCraft, because it was like Justice League, Avengers, like
Yeah,
that was.
wow, I never noticed that. I thought you picked the word justice because like
It's a bit of a happy accident,
that's
I would say.
yeah, it's kind of like a name that a word that relates to that kind of genre the most. Um, wow, I never noticed that, and I like that you remember some of your like first players that chose these characters.
Oh, it was a
I'm the
massive.
exact same way.
It was a massive deal for us, like to have a person join and find the server. I remember like Palp and I came home from school. We're like, whoa, someone's on the server. Like this is bizarre.
Yeah, it was always just
Yeah,
a huge blessing to get one new member. Like every new member to us was like one extra person, part of like this close knit family that we were trying to build, who were all into Smallville and wanting to check out the server and stuff. So
That's the
yeah,
thing with success. Like you get one person on the server, and you feel the same as if you had 20. Like your gauge of what a successful server is just based
definitely.
personally on you. And it doesn't matter if your server has like thousands of players or if it has 10 players. Like, as long as you love your community and get along with everyone, then you're gonna have a good time.
yeah,
Definitely, definitely. Yeah, I know the feeling all too well. Like, I remember looking forward to like adding the next player head on the wall of Marvel MC back in
yeah.
2016.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now for Pulp, one of the things I always loved the most about JC was, this is the second question. One of the things I always loved the most about JC was the cinematography and how it had all of its original content coming straight from the owners. From the trailers to skin designing, I remember that LC would take a lot of skin requests to original content such as Minecraft films and even original soundtracks coming from Pulp. This was actually one of the ways I wanted to really hit play on things from Marvel MC, except in my case, since I didn't have a very golly PC that could handle all that stuff, it was all about hiring teams, giving various projects a budget, assigning jobs to the right people, and so on. As a matter
Mm,
of fact, you guys did one of the Marvel MC trailers, the Miles Morales one.
yeah,
Um, I want you to be able to, I want you to be able to brush up on all of the types of stuff that you did for the server. But starting from cinematography and then everything that came after, what inspired that very first trailer, the Superman one, I believe,
yeah.
and
So
what encouraged you to continue to do more projects like that under JC? And lastly, how did that transition into where you are today? And that's a very long question. I'm sorry.
that's all right. So yeah, pretty much with what Soups was saying about us wanting to release the server and make it public. With that, we realized we needed to showcase the server in like a video format so that people could watch it and then be like, oh, I know this place, this is Smallville, I want to check this out. So we decided we needed to make a trailer of some sort, and that was sort of the origins of seeing what was possible with film in the server, in the game. And at that stage, I don't know if there was a lot of cinematic kind of stuff on Minecraft. It was all sort of just like live stream type videos, but we wanted to make something more cinematic, more purposeful with in terms of camera work and all that kind of things. So we recreated like a little scene from Smallville in the server with Clark going down to the Kawachi caves and all that. It was just pretty much an experimentation for us to see if we could shoot something and make it look kind of professional. And from there, we made the Flash trailer, which was the second one. And from there, you know, like all the editing skills and the camera work, everything was just a bit better from the first one. And we kept going, made an Arrow trailer, and then I think after that was the first Justice League film, which was like 30 minutes or something, kind of a long form storytelling. And one of the best parts about the server for me was being able to include all the people as cast in these films. You know, in some of these scenes we had maybe 30 or 40 people just as extras in some of these scenes. And
may I just add as well, like,
yeah,
the first trailer we made was just me and Palp alone, like just us two, him with the camera, me with all the skins, and then we use NPCs.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't be possible to make any of these things without having that community of people. Like some of the scenes in Justice League, we had like 40 people on like events, massive wars and things like that. Like it was pretty impressive.
Especially with Justice League 3, the film, it was like, I think it was an hour and 10 minutes or something, maybe even more, I can't remember. But some of these scenes, yeah, massive cast and battles and everything. And it was all choreographed as well. Like, we needed things to happen in the scenes, and we would type in the chat, you know, can you do this and get your abilities going here? And it's just coordinating all these things over text chat. And it was just a great way to involve the community. And all the while, we were improving our filmmaking skills, like my cinematography and the editing of it, and even Soups did some visual effects on Justice League 3, and he was also writing all these scripts, so his actual screenwriting was improving massively over the course of all these projects. And translating today, I currently work in the film industry now, so this sort of love of cinema and cinematography and editing has really helped me build my skills over many years, and has definitely translated into what I do today.
Yeah, and when I heard that, when you told me that you were like a film composer, I was so happy for you. I was like so glad that what we worked on and what you've worked on for JC translated into your professional career. Like that means a lot. Like, and that inspires me as well.
Yeah, thanks. I mean, it's pretty crazy just how destined everything does feel. But I feel like everything just happens to give us some sort of experience and skills, and we carry those on throughout our lives. And also with the Miles Morales trailer that we did for your server, that was a great opportunity to just jump off of our sort of community and go to a different one and help out and provide something that
For sure.
could advertise your
Yeah.
server as well. Yeah.
One of my first Minecraft server trailer projects was also for a different a different server community, a server in that same community, but a different server owner, and which was a vast variety of, wasn't just like one specific genre like Marvel or DC. So that gave me an opportunity to like get a taste of, this is, stepping out of your shoes and into a different environment. But yeah, I agree, and we're gonna brush up on the cinematography and one of the later questions. But for my next question for Soups, I've got a question about those out there who may consider starting a server. So let's say someone opens a DC server. What's the best way they can do so without being compared to JC, but on a good consensus?
I think if you have like a unique idea and you're just someone that's a passionate fan of the genre and you're not just trying to like make a server to steal players or just get the big numbers. Like we never.
Mm-hmm.
This was Justice Craft was just a server for Sid and I to like muck around with after school. We built most of it on like single player. If you're trying to build a server for the community that's like you're trying to get the numbers, you're never going to be satisfied because no number is great enough, and for a roleplay server, you're never really going to get those numbers that you need to satisfy yourself.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
But if you're doing it for all the right reasons, then there's really no way that you won't succeed because people see that you're passionate about something, and then that translates into the server. And also, that's the reason that Justice Craft has been around as long as it has, is just because
Yeah.
we love it.
Yeah.
We love what we built, and like both us, like both Sid and I, Palp and I, are retired, so we're just keeping the server running because we just love to see everyone's still enjoying it generationally past us, and it's just cool to see that like it's still going on even after us. Got new owners, new staff team, and kind of the values that we instilled in the server are still living on. So if you create a server
Yeah.
for the right reasons, then I think it's always going to succeed. And also building a good staff team, like we went through many iterations of a staff team before we like really settled on a great team that all had their own skill set. They all had their own unique ideas and opinions. The best way to run a server is a democracy. So value everyone's opinions. We've always given our moderators and admins and owners all the same permissions on the server, just because it's like a sign of respect. Like you're allowed to operate how you think fits. You're allowed to judge applications yourself. We trust your opinion, because it's just impossible for one person to kind of control everything like that when there's so many moving parts.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And the part where you say about a unique idea, I said the exact same thing on like on Justice Craft. I don't know what the conversation exactly was, but I brought that up like, you need a unique idea and you want to be original. And the player question that plays the character question, he said, that's surprising coming from you. You have a Marvel server, and I bet you're not the first person to do one of those. Fun fact, I found Marvel MC opened the same year Justice Craft opened publicly the same year as Justice Craft went public 2016. Same with Marvel MC, and I naturally found the server because that same year while you were getting, because that was your most active year, so players from Justice Craft found my server and invited me on, and that's how I came across Justice Craft. I had no like. It's kind of like how you say about some people just are into the community when they start a server and get the numbers.
Yeah, well, that's how I met
Marvel
you as
MC
well.
was Marvel MC was how I found Syscraft by opening a server of my own, and then they just naturally connected like roots. Like people from JC immediately found me and brought me in, and then it turned into a back and forth kind of thing where players from Marvel MC now discover Justice players discover Marvel MC, and it's like the community goes full circle that way. I think it's pretty great that everything's still going strong for Justice Craft.
It's pretty awesome because, like, end of the day, we're all just basically comic book fans, aren't we? And
Yeah.
we're just all the fans. We all like connect in this community, and what really like is the difference between a good server and a bad server is like you might get the person to join your server because they know you from a different community, but if there's that unique aspect, whether it be like mini games, like cool powers, or just like filming trailers and things like that, like that's the thing that makes them stay. You might get them to join your server once, but you really want to get them to stay and engage with the community, which I think both our servers did really well.
And since this is Minecraft, it all comes down to the gameplay. Like you want gameplay on your server, not just the option to do this.
Big
What are you
time.
gonna do that with?
Yeah, I played other servers, like superhero servers in the past, and they didn't even let you build and things like that. I'm like yes, this is a DC roleplay server, but it's still Minecraft. You need to be able to build. Like it just
I think
doesn't
even if
make
you're
sense
just
to me.
online to be like play survival, like even without abilities and stuff. You're there to hang out with all your friends who have similar interests to you, with that being DC on JC.
You got
So
to give people things to do.
yeah,
We, like other servers, like charge you to have the ability to fly and things like that. We've always just given people the powers that they deserve in terms of the characters. They're basically given like all these privileges that you would not get on any server, super speed, all these other things, which is the reason that they kind of stay there
custom made powers and everything. Yeah.
originally. And then, so the thing that attracts them at first is the cool powers and the privileges they get, and the thing that makes them stay is hopefully the community.
Definitely, like a lot of these things y'all are saying, like these are reflections of my experience as a Marvel MC server owner. Like, and yes, on JC, I started to in Justice League faction, and was spending all my time there building a little base in the ground, and
Yeah.
um yeah, like being able to do that kept me on there as a player for a while. And what you say about like the option to build and survival and stuff, um, that was like one of the most popular things on Marvel MC. And then like one year I was like, I made the mistake of going, being a superhero makes survival insanely easy, so I'm gonna take it out. And that did not go well.
Yeah.
Players actively fought for survival back, and like as a family of players, I wanted that back. So then I added it back in a new way, and people still enjoyed it. And now if I was in it was in the plans this summer to this is the first time anyone's hearing of this publicly. For Marvel MC, if it would have come back this year, I would have said, so now survival worlds are going to be familiar places from the movies. Like there was going to be a Morag survival world, a Burhart survival world, like
Wow.
places from the movies. That way it's natural, like that way it's all Marvel all the way around, and not just. But yeah, like giving them things to do and sticking to the Minecraft thing, it's a very big deal. So,
Mm,
yeah, I agree.
yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Palp, do you have a favorite media project that you have worked on for JC? I've got to admit that I could never stop rewatching the Justice Crafts of War trailer. It's very well done.
Yeah, that's a hard question. I think each one has been just so unique in terms of the creation of the project and what the challenges we've had to go through to make it happen. Like I remember the Captain America one. That was the first time we made something that was just so much on a bigger scale than anything before. We built some of these sets, these massive World War sets, and had massive like war scenes and shot them over multiple days. But I think the most enjoyable and rewarding experience has been Justice League Part 3, which was just, I feel like a step above the rest in terms of its production quality and the editing and the cinematography and everything and the writing of it. We shot that over, I think, several months, and that was the first time we started to really make use of green screen and visual effects, and everything about it was just a step above the rest, I feel.
Yeah. Now, Elsie, as we all know, the community can have a lot of friction from time to time. One thing I picked up on about you, as well as Pop to a degree, is that you're all about forgiveness, understanding that people can grow, and allowing people a chance to redeem what was shown otherwise. Is that something that you wish would have rubbed off on the main community as a popular role model? Because I know a lot of players look up to you both. Tell me what was one thing that you always tried to express to the community in terms of like morality that pertains to how we should consider thinking and treating others.
Yeah, so like everyone makes mistakes, as you know, um, like me included, and we've also like with being a server owner, it's all about trial and error. Like you don't necessarily know what works at first. And with Justice Craft, we've tried everything in the books. Like we've tried different ways of doing powers, we tried different ways of moderating chat, we've tried everything. But at its core, Justice Craft is about justice. I know it's a kind of cliche to say, but we believe in like fair trials. If someone's going to be banned, we have the ability to appeal to that ban. And also, I've always told like our staff that we don't ever want to ban people. It's a very sad day when we have to ban someone, but we only ban people for their own good if they won't stop, if it's going to lead them to be able to have a timeout where they can be educated and then come back a better person. And I've seen people be banned once, come back, and then they're an active member of the community. But when you're managing people on a daily basis like we were, like a massive group of people that all have opposing views, opinions, everything, it's going to be impossible for there to not be some people in the mix that clash. And like I know personally, I've clashed with people, people have clashed with me. It's impossible to make everyone like you, especially when you're in a position of power. So all you can really
Yep.
do is manage those relationships as best you can.
I see. I say so many times in some of my videos, like that owner role, or like just any type of like kind of like what we talked about. I believe you said it's a thing called tall poppy syndrome, where
Yes.
that being in a certain position, yeah, it creates emphasis a little bit.
So tall poppy syndrome, that's kind of an Australian terminology, and that's where we're from if you can't tell by our accents.
Yeah.
That's where you kind of like strike people down for succeeding. So it's like saying, "Oh, you're so good. You cured cancer. Look at you. Like you're so smart." It's like cutting
Yeah.
people down for success. And when you have that owner tag, you're kind of putting a target on your back because anything that's wrong with the server, whether it be you feel like you're not valued, you feel like you're discriminated against, which is not okay, but suddenly the person that's at the top is to blame for every systemic thing that happens down the chain. So you just got to be prepared, and you got to set a good example, be a good role model, that you're going to get blamed for things down the track, and you got to kind of sit outside of that, be kind of like a school teacher and be like, okay, this happened, what can we do to fix it, what's the action plan, and just make sure you're creating a server that has strict rules in place that you can enforce. But obviously don't be trigger happy, don't ban people just instantly. Give them warnings, mute them, give them punishments, because banning people, like, it's a sad day when anyone's excluded from being able to play something that they love. And a lot of the people that cause the most arguments are the ones that are active every day. And because they're active every day, they kind of build up this toxicity because they're disconnected from society. They may be spending a little too many hours on Justice Craft, becoming addicted, becoming agitated. And because they're agitated, anything can trigger them. And a person in power especially can trigger them.
Yeah. Now I won't get too specific, but I remember at one point a very notorious player submitted a ban appeal, and the first two immediate responses were just highly intolerable. So obviously those got deleted and the thread is locked. But along with that, you made a reply, and it was quite the call to action. It's basically a way of saying, at what point do we move on from the old negatives and focus on working with each other rather than against, so that as a community, things can work at a higher altitude. To mark your words exactly, you said, when you start drama or follow in the footsteps of someone spreading drama, you lose my respect. You are entitled to your own opinions, of course, but we don't pretend. But don't pretend like you aren't hurting someone with stuff that you were saying. Remember, this is Minecraft. It's supposed to be enjoyable, and if it's not for you anymore, let it go. Let's all try to treat others how we'd like to be treated, and let's all strive for a positive form and a positive community. End quote. And that's probably one of the things I want the most for these servers. To let's there's people that hate me for 2016 events, like when I first got here, that I probably don't even remember anymore. And it's not just me. It's, like you said, there's people that clash, and like I want everyone to. The best days I've had on Marvel MC, to subscribe any of the servers, is where we're all boys, we're all bros, and everyone's just a community, a happy community. Yeah.
I think one of the things is everyone needs to realize that because the demographic is a lot of young people, because it is a video game, like everyone's growing. We're like a lot of all the young people aren't experienced in terms of like social relationships or the real world as much as older people would be. and so because of that, I think they can maybe not socialize in a way that without realizing or being self-aware of how they're affecting other people. And
And also,
and
you're
the other
using
thing is on
text-based chat too.
text chat, like
Yeah.
everything you say can be misinterpreted. I've seen a lot of fights being started over misinterpreted chat, and then because of this sort of cancel culture, because of tall poppy syndrome, it's like everyone's just instantly wants to get the guy banned. But we've always been like innocent until proven guilty, and I think everyone's forgetting
Mhm.
that sort of motto these days with cancel culture. So I think everyone
I've
realizing that it's a growing community, everyone's growing and trying to be better is super important for any server.
I probably faced the most backlash of anyone just for my views on second chances, like in letting certain members of the community that are hated back into the server.
Definitely.
Definitely has put a target on my back. But end of the day, like, we're all just a community. We all want to play, and
Yeah.
I believe in second chances.
And as an owner, like, it's really easy for people to just be like, oh, that's favoritism. You're just letting them back
Yeah.
in because you're friends with them. But the thing is, everyone on the server is our favorites. Like we said, we care about every single member. Even if it's 100, even if it's just one, each one means the same to us. So it was kind of like everyone is shown favoritism on the server by
Sometimes
us.
you read something that's said about you, and you're just like, ooh, that like kind of upsets me.
Yeah.
And you're just trying to do your best you can to kind of make everyone happy, but you obviously can never make everyone happy with your opinions. Like, you let one person back in, there's 10 people that hate him, there's 10 people that love him. What do you do?
Yeah.
All I say is, like, let them back, give them one chance. If they blow the chance, they're gone for good, sort of thing.
Yeah, like what's the worst that can happen if they come back? They'll just prove themselves to be good or not changed. So, yeah.
Yep. Either they've grown or action can be taken again.
Yeah, exactly.
But I
And
think, like, having a conversation, like, with your voice, you can kind of tell, like, sometimes you're disconnected that these people are actually human. And you jump on a call with them, and you're like,
that's what I
oh,
was gonna say. Like,
they're like
yeah,
actual
I was gonna
people.
say that I think some people forget that behind each person, like SupermanDC, SirPalpatine99, like All Nuts or OC Varner, like these are human beings, people with brains, a heart, emotions, a way of thinking, a way of feeling.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's exactly
And then
right.
that's where like callousness comes in, where like some people forget that to have a little bit of empathy.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Back to Palp, I'm curious as to what was your most fully invested JC moment between the both of you. A lot of us would consider you the inactive one, or so to speak. Obviously, we know that the two of you make a great time, put in a great bit of time, and that's why JC stands tall for so many years. Which would mean that there was a fair amount of effort on both ends. But as for like a time in which you were highly active due to
Yeah.
a certain event, was there anything in particular that ever caused you to go full throttle? Like if it was for a certain project, a big server error, a server crisis of some sort, any type of event in which something happened causing you to be more focused on JC than ever before. Do you have anything like that?
I think I was most active in 2016 or 2017,
You
I
were more
think.
active than me back then.
Yeah, there was a time when Soups was kind of inactive. Maybe you were away or something, and that's when I sort of stepped in because I had the responsibility of just making sure everything's working to speed. And I think during that time I was just hyper focused on JC. I was making sure the community's working well and everything's going on well with the staff team. And like I said, with like every film that we've made has been a time of hyper focus where I would literally drop everything and just like we were on for like 12 hours some of these days just filming. And after that, of course, it was all the post production stuff like editing. I was still connected with JC doing all those kinds of things.
If you
I
add it
think
all up,
anytime,
Palp and I probably
yeah,
have the same amount of man hours on just the craft, just
and
working
definitely
behind the
like
scenes and editing and everything.
yeah, and definitely with like any time with the community that I was active during that time was like one of the most focused I've been on the server because you hop on every single day, you're seeing the same people. It's like you're with them in real life. like any one of your other friends.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, definitely around that time is when I was most involved with the server.
Yeah, we talked the most in 2016, 2017, the early days. Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
and then sort of
Now,
like as with everyone, like life just sort of gets in the way, or we sort of distance ourselves from it because it's just able to stand by itself, and that's kind of why me and Sips retired, just because there wasn't much more that we needed to offer because the staff team was just so great at just working perpetually, and with the new
mm-hmm.
owners in place, everything's just working fine. So we sort of started to become more inactive in that sense.
Yeah. Now, back to LC, name a funny memory that you possibly still laugh at to this day. A funny JC memory, if any.
Um, there was this player called Owlman. I'm not sure if you know of him. Owlman, he was a bit of a character in the community. Um,
That's Fnatic slash Buford, right?
no, I can't remember. I think he's had a few usernames. One of them was Zuko. But
Uh-huh.
he used to come into chat and in all caps write hoot hoot, and he had an owl cave. And I remember me and one of the early admins, Julie, we once went into his cave and we had discovered that every block had been changed into sponges. And he was complaining and I was pissing myself laughing. Like obviously I had to put my owner hat on and fix it, but it was funny in the moment because he was just the funniest guy. And we jumped in a call with him once and he joined the call and had like a Joker mask on, and was just a character. I had heaps of fun with that guy, and also all my early staff friends like Drooly, Undead, OC, and then Vortex, Fab, like all the people, Leo Nixus, like these are people I still talk to today, and we live on different sides of the planet, and we're all just like good friends. It's crazy.
Yeah. This is going to be a question, but were they dry sponges or wet sponges?
I think they were dry sponges. There might have also been some pink wool scattered in there as well.
Yeah. And Paul, the same question goes for you. Any funny JC memories that you possibly still laugh at?
Because like the most involved I was on the server was when we were filming. There was so many times where like we would need everyone to be just quiet on set and just standing still, and then someone would just do something really stupid. Like I remember one time we were filming a high school dance scene at Smallville High School for Justice League 3, and I think it was Fana. He just like everyone was just standing still, minding their own business, waiting for me to say action, and then Fana just walks in like he owns the place and just starts like I don't know what he was doing. He was just jumping around, being an idiot. And it was just really funny.
It was like a dance scene. Like we had like
Yeah.
ballroom dancing, and then Fenner came in like I think he was in a naked skin or something like that.
Oh
And he was
yeah.
like bobbing his head.
There's so many moments like that with filming, and just there's so many just good times with the chat. Like people would just say really funny things, or it's just the community spirit of it all meant we're having like fun every day basically. So yeah.
Yeah. Uh, this is both question 9 and 10. It goes to both of you. What is your favorite or most fondest memory of JC?
um, Fondest memory, probably like as Palp said before, filming JL Part 3, because that was just like such a large scale thing. We set up events for it, and one of those events broke like the 100 player record. So I think we had like 110 people
What
on,
player record?
100 players on at the time.
Ah,
Yeah, so having all those players on and just pressing tab and seeing like the list go on for rows and rows, like I'm sure you know the feeling too. It's like pretty
mm-hmm.
exciting, except
Yeah.
it's very hard to manage.
It's just adrenaline at that moment because we're all just trying to figure out how to control this massively growing thing. It's just
But all in
yeah.
all, probably my favorite memory like is just when it was Sid and Palp and I on the server, coming home from school and building Smallville.
Like we mentioned, it was just The server
Just
originally
peaceful.
was just a
Yeah.
place for us to come on after school and talk and vent, or we'd do our homework on the side while we're on the server talking to each other and building. It's kind of like therapeutic. So that was, yeah, one of my also my favorite memories, and also just being at the Kent farm in Smallville as a Smallville fan. Just being there was one of the greatest places to be in a server for me.
I'm gonna try to recall my fond SJC memory. I remember I was in a call with some friends in the community. And we were just roaming around the Justice League map. Is that originally that's originally built, right?
Which map? The Justice League one.
I mean, oh, I say Justice League. I mean, Forces of Solitude, or is that a download
Oh
one?
yeah, yep. There's a couple of one of the first early ones was like a schematic we got, but then it was rebuilt by one of our talented build teams. So I'm not.
Yeah,
It's probably the one you went on was like a crappy one that we found somewhere that we just
yeah.
pasted.
There's this. So we were just roaming around the map, and so for the viewers, I think I was the person to use Cyborg Superman the most. Um, and we we go into the Fortress of Solitude, and there's just like platform where you like just walk in elevated thing, and you were standing right there in the center of it like a statue, like you coincidentally like I'm Soups, you were coincidentally just standing there in the perfect spot, and kind of like going to see the Statue of Liberty kind of, and like the owner just standing there, and like I don't know what's so fond
Was
about that to
was
me.
it
It's
me or an
like
NPC?
it was you. You had your effects on everything. I remember the particles coming off of you.
Oh, what? Well, I didn't
And this
spend
was
all my
back in
time
2016, I
there.
believe. This was back in 2016, I'm pretty sure. So yeah, that was like a perfect moment. Another fond memory is as soon as I deleted the Injustice League faction, one of the guy who was Joker at the time started it back up, and so then we were having this like battle between um our faction, Injustice League, and another faction. Like I guess people would just see villains out and about and they start fighting, and then they would turn into like this mass battle between characters, heroes versus villains, and it just happened so naturally. Reminds me of like a 1980s cartoon where the character goes, "Ahoy there, villain! You must go down!" And then everyone just starts like just brawling at each other, and it was good fun for quite a while. It lasted a long time, and every time they die, we would come back and keep the battle going. And it lasted a long time. It was just fun, and we were. It wasn't just like since there's superpowers involved, it wasn't just like spam fist. It was like using actual created power abilities, and we were like actually trying to use actual techniques to like evade
Yeah.
and get as many hits as possible, like being Floyd Mayweather about it.
Yeah, the best part about
um
Justice Craft is definitely the friends and the people I've met, I would say, because like it's not every day you get to talk to people from all over the world, and because you have this one thing, your love of superheroes that connects you, like anyone can become friends. It's a
Yeah,
pretty
and
unique
then
thing.
you get like exposed
yeah,
to all these different lives people are having, and you realize that, oh, these are people in different sides of the world, and they all got their own culture and their own. I think a few of them even didn't speak English. Like they would just join and start speaking in French, and we'd use a translator to see what he was saying.
Yeah,
And
like Spid. Like Spid came to
oh yeah,
us
Spids, yeah,
on the server when he
yeah.
was like 12 years old, and apparently, according to him, his English teacher in Sweden said that he started to speak with an Australian accent because of us. Like we basically
And no, yeah,
raised him, taught him how to speak English.
I remember one of the early moments that I met Speed. He was saying he had a maths test or something for school. He was really nervous about it, and we were talking to him about what it was on and that he was going to do well. And then he came back a few days later, and he said he aced it and got his marks back. And now he's like, I think he's finished school or something. So it's crazy to see all these people grow up, and
The one
even
thing
you.
the one thing that like I wasn't expecting or ready for was that when you put on your owner cap, you also kind of become like a therapist to some of these people. Like I can't tell you the amount of times people have messaged me, DM'd me about their problems, like whether it be with school life, with like girl drama, like anything. People seem to want to confide in you, and
Yeah.
you kind of sometimes have to like talk them off the ledge.
Relatable, relatable.
Yeah. So we've had emails from parents and things saying like, "Thank you so much. My child was really upset, and
Wow.
this server has helped them found themselves. We just want to thank you." Like, I've had all sorts of things that just really make all this time that we've dedicated worthwhile. So yeah,
So
it's rewarding.
the thing with Spit, that's incredible. Like he started speaking with an accent because of you guys. That's funny.
I know. That's what he says anyway. I don't know if I believe it, but Spid is like a proper example of someone that like we got him to watch Smallville. We've molded him to be like a better version than we
We
could ever
created
be.
him. Yeah.
Yeah, I birthed him. But yeah, I love Spid to death. And
Yeah.
Yeah, I have had long conversations with some of my players as well, and um, one time I had to have a discourse with a parent. Like, I didn't realize that there's this player like lashing out because Venom wasn't available, and um, then his mom texts me and says, "Oh, my son is on has autism," and I had to have a one-on-one with her, understanding the situation, and that made me rethink everything.
yeah,
And so I let him go through the appeal process, and then that experience told me to you know keep a system in place for players that are unique in any kind of way, or because not everyone's is the same, you know.
I've
Yeah.
I've I've
And
accepted like two-word applications before for similar scenarios, or it's someone that's young and just wanted to be a character or wanting to have powers. Just because you gotta kind of like, yes, there are rules, but sometimes there's exemptions to the rules.
Yeah. It's never black and white. It's always you judge each case for its own scenario.
Yeah, you want everyone to be able to play and everyone to be equal.
Yeah.
So if we can help someone along with their application process, then so be it. But the community might send us hate for it, but oh well. It's better to not be a hardcore roleplay server and be an all-inclusive server, in my opinion.
Hmm.
yeah, so now we're on to the neutral questions, um, that are for both of you to answer.
Yep.
Yep.
One of the most surprising things I've seen to come from JC is probably the Captain America film, which you mentioned earlier. As a Marvel-related product coming from a DC server, what inspired that project, and would you have done another project like that?
Answer this, pal.
Um, I actually can't remember why we chose to do Captain America.
I think I
I
know.
think at the time we might have had the Marvel server
I
come out.
think
Was that right?
you watch Fury. That's why.
Oh yeah. One of the biggest inspirations for that film was the movie Fury, which I had seen like with Brad Pitt and Shia LaBeouf and stuff. And yeah, I can't remember why we did it. If we were just a DC server, maybe we had a Marvel server planned and we wanted to just generate some hype for it. But I mean, both Marvel and DC, even though they're not the same, they share a lot of similar values and they're all trying to teach the same morals. I feel, and it kind of made sense. The story that we wanted to tell at the time was Captain America's origin, and even though it wasn't a DC film, it sort of just made
Yeah.
sense to
I'm
go
a,
that
I'm a
route.
fan of everything, so
Yeah, yeah, me too. I mean,
we all watch all the
there's no
Marvel
like,
films. We watch the
yeah,
DC
100%.
films. We're just a fan.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, do the both of you happen to have a favorite server event? I don't know if I've attended many, but one thing I did catch on to was that they could be anything from action-packed to a simple social gathering, and the community would surround it, which is something that says good about the family that is the JC community.
Mine's probably the Wayne charity ball event that we had. There was quite a
I
big
remember
turnout
that,
for
yeah.
that. Yeah. We had converted one of the buildings in Gotham to be kind of a ballroom, and we had tabled seatings, and we did a bit of filming there too, and got some really nice photos of the staff team and all the players. And I think everyone had a lot of fun. A lot of these events kind of turn into a PvP match at the end, though, unfortunately. But uh, it's
One of my
nice
favorites
when it lasts.
is probably me and Soups had like a massive mansion called Eclipse Manor, and just spontaneously we'd all just put in the chat like party at Eclipse Manor, and everyone would just get like massively teleported to the mansion, and we'd set up a party and have music playing and everything. And also we had a chapel at the back of the mansion, and a lot of people had like in-game weddings there, which was always nice to see.
Yep.
It's just a lot of just wholesome events that happened.
Yeah. Yeah, Marvel MC had a wedding as well. It's it's a pretty popular video on the most notorious person to be Iron Man. We had a wedding for Vision and uh Wanda Maximoff. Everyone was around it wearing tuxes and stuff. You'd be surprised at things that bring together everyone. Like it could be anything.
Yeah.
Do one thing most recognizable about you two is that you've practically branded being your characters Superman and Martian Manhunter. And I remember for a very brief moment, Soups, that you actually swapped characters with Vort and became Batman. Is there any special thing in particular, anything special in particular about these characters that you've held on to for so long that speaks to you, or are you both just big fans?
Well, I think Palp and I are both pretty big Superman fans. There's like a picture of me like at 2 years old wearing a Superman costume. I've always loved Superman, the Christopher Reeve Superman. I watched as a child. I read a lot of the comic books, and then Smallville, which is like kind of the origins of Superman, was one of my biggest things that like got me through early high school and everything. Taught me a lot of like my morals, I guess. And only a fan of the show would really know this, in watching it, like growing up. Like it instills some good values into you. So, and Superman's just always represented that to me. Like he's like more so than Superman, Clark Kent. He's this guy, humble guy that's got to disguise the fact that he has all these powers.
Yeah.
It was a weird time in my life when I changed to Batman with Vought. I think it was only for like a week, and I kind of regret doing it. But I think I watched the Dark Knight movies like that weekend or something, and I was like, I want to be Batman. There was no other reason for it. It was weird.
You even brought out your alt account, and I believe it was called Dark Knight DC.
Yeah, yeah.
What about you, Pulp?
Yeah, I'm the same. Like, I'm a big fan of Superman as well, watching Smallville and everything. But also, I really liked Martian Manhunter, and he was in Smallville a little bit, and I sort of like started reading about him a lot before I went with that, and I kind of just liked. He, like Superman, he also feels pretty alone on Earth. Like and everything is kind of new to him. He's kind of like innocent in that way and naive, and I don't know. I just liked that about him, and he's pretty funny as well. Seeing that in all of the cartoons and stuff, just how naive he is,
He's
and
probably my second favorite character.
he's like so oblivious to so many things that humans do that he's just
It's a really good
And-
Christmas episode of
That's a
Martian
funny one. He
Manhunter.
gets like given a sweater by Martha Kent, I think, and it's too
That's his
loose.
signature on the forums as a gift.
Yeah. It's too loose for him, and he just like enlarges his body.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just pretty funny.
Now, this is question number 14. Now, this may sound odd, but do you guys, by any chance, have a favorite portrayal of a character, like a player or staff who you believe were best at role-playing, combating, or portraying certain characters? Like it was their strong suit to be that character?
I would say I'm not sure if you remember Fulos as Constantine.
Yeah.
Fulos as Constantine I think was great. He was awesome portrayal. Also a fan of Drooly as Nightwing. Some people might disagree because he was inactive, but I think he was a great Nightwing.
Drooly, you say?
Yeah. This was back in the 2016 days.
Yeah, I remember him.
Fab as Dr. Fate's a great one too.
Yep, I agree. I always
Yeah.
said that one. What about you, Pulp?
honestly, like Supes as Superman was pretty up there for me. Like just because you kind of embody that, like an older Superman just giving therapy. Like even in Smallville, he's always kind of offering his helping hand to people, and I think you did that for a lot of players, like you said. People would come to you for advice, and
Oh, you're too kind.
yeah. So there were so many
I have
players
that actually.
who like went full on. Like even Fana as Lex, he went full on and would have his own like secret bases and
Yeah.
underneath he'd have like a nice farm with like a really wholesome looking farm with grass and everything, and then underneath he would have some like crazy Lex base. And
Yeah.
it's pretty funny to see.
Yeah. Um, I actually have that. I would say that the both of you were the best use of your characters that I've seen. When I think of LCS Superman, always reminds me of myself as Spider-Man. Same with Palp and your character.
Yeah.
Um, I think it goes without saying that the question was the best question. Um, I would also say that Vortex was a pretty fitting Batman with him being a creator and stuff.
Yeah,
Mm.
big time.
Um, and I
Yeah, the
think
question
I
was
was
great as question. Um,
yeah.
yeah.
I told him this in the call. He even sounds like question. He's like, oh, I get that a lot.
Yeah.
And one time in the Discord, he posted a picture of his question mask and said that he says he never goes anywhere without it. I don't know how true that is,
Oh
but
my god.
He's a
that's
real
commitment if anything.
superhero. Yeah.
And I think I was pretty attuned to Cyborg Superman, honestly.
Oh yeah, that was
Um,
awesome. And it's kind of like you and I were like a team sort of thing. Like you
yeah,
on
I still have that screenshot from 2017
yeah.
of me and you standing next to each other. You were the black suited Superman. I don't know what it's called.
Also,
Black suited
probably
yeah.
probably Owlman is Owlman, I'd have to
Ah
say.
yeah. Owlman is Owlman, big time.
Yeah.
Uh,
And Katie
um,
Gaming as herself. Or any character. She wrote a 20,000 word application for Wonder Woman. So that's probably the most in depth anyone's written an application for.
Yeah.
That included all her martial arts history and able to speak 5 languages and things. So that was fun.
mhm.
Probably the most overqualified
Um,
person for an application.
can you repeat that?
She's probably the most overqualified person to play a hero. Because she sounded like
Uh,
she was an actual hero in real life.
I kind of always like it when people go all out on their applications, how showing me how bad they want the character, and I'm
Yeah. It's like it
like
shows you
even
their
if you won't
passion.
build the
Yeah.
I
requirements,
mean,
I'll be like,
20,000 words is
you
hard to
got it.
deny, right?
Yeah. Fana actually for Hank Pym, Ant-Man, he so on Marvel MC at the time, oh I think it was still like this in the latest iteration. You would have to use a book and quill and fill that out a certain way as opposed to typing it out on the website. And he would fill in all 50 pages of the book and
Oh
quill,
my god.
and
Yeah.
Oh my
he did it
god.
for his Hank Pym application. And I was like, I'm not even gonna read this. Like, I know you know the character. You've made stuff for the character on the server. You got it.
So yeah, sometimes you feel like
Um,
saying, calm down, the character's yours.
yeah, you got it. You got it. Super Gorl, like Gorl. Um, she was pretty notorious. Um, but she was a good Supergirl, I must admit.
Yeah, we've had a few good
Um,
Supergirls.
yeah. Like there are a lot of people who that's also what makes it enjoyable. Like the owner being Superman and but also mirroring the traits of Superman and like that adds on to the community thing. We're a community that is actually relating to this to that fictional world as well. That's how much we love it, you know?
Yeah, it's part of the reason that like I probably held on to the character a little longer than I should have because I was more inactive. But giving up Superman would have just kind of shown people that I'm giving up on the server. Um, like if I joined and I just had
Yeah,
the
true.
username SupermanDC or something like that, it wouldn't look right. And I wanted to retire officially properly without giving up the character like that. So people
Mhm.
knew that I had dedicated 5 years to this character, to this server, and then I'd be passing on the character, opening it up in a special way. But I
Mhm.
received a lot of backlash because I was dead in roleplay for like nearly 2 years. Mainly because every time I tried to roleplay, I would get spammed and things like that.
Yeah, it was always impossible for staff
It's
members
basically
to.
impossible for an owner to
Yeah,
roleplay. I did
even
in
if we're just building, yeah, we'd get like power requests or application requests. It's
I had
just
some great
impossible.
roleplays in the early days, but it just became like every time I would come on the server, it would be to do more work and improve everything, get the staff
Yeah,
team.
yeah. All too well. I know it all too well. I as much as I would like to have roleplayed on Marvel MC a whole lot, when it got to the point where, um, and Minecraft being slow for me played a small part of it. I would strictly join the server to get things done,
Yeah,
and not necessarily even want to, and like interact as least as possible to make sure everything gets done. But I would have loved to roleplay a lot. But I only roleplayed during the events I hosted every month with everyone.
yeah.
So at least I got that. But yeah, it's when I get it. As server owners, we mean business on the server when it comes to like getting stuff done.
And you'll know as well, like 10% of the work is actually spent on the server. Most of the stuff is behind the scenes, like on the console,
Yep.
in
Hmm.
Discord. Like, even if people think you're inactive, you're doing things behind the scenes, like managing staff, managing communities, answering DMs. Like, I used to get hundreds of DMs a day. Now it's kind of calmed down a little
Yeah.
bit, thank God, because people know
Hmm.
that I'm like retired. But it's just, it's a chore. Like, it probably took an hour each day just to answer every DM.
Yeah. I've had people rage at me, and because I would take action on them. They don't really know that I'm watching the server from the outside. I can still see what's going on the server. And I remember one person raged at me say, "You don't even join your own server. What are you talking about? I didn't do this." And I'm like, "Oh, so that's what you think?" I'd be working on stuff on the server for hours and hours. I don't have to be physically, so to speak, in the game on the server with you to get these things done.
Yeah, yeah. A lot of people don't realize just how much goes on behind the scenes. Like a lot of people even said that about me being inactive, and I was really inactive in game, but I'd be doing so much.
It's not
Like
something that's
off.
unique to our server either. Like, I play
Yeah,
plenty of Minecraft servers where you never see the owner. Like, it's not.
yeah,
I kind of like the fact that I played as much as I did.
yeah. I mean, that's why we have a staff team. They're there to
Yeah.
help you when we're not around, and
Yep.
yeah, take the load.
And I would like hiring staff members from like you like I live in America. I would like hiring UK staff members if I could,
Yeah,
or Australia, and to get people to have some try to have staff on 24/7 kind of. That way
yeah,
there's
yeah,
always someone on for everyone.
yeah.
Exactly.
Um so what's something that you both wish you'd have gotten to do for the server before your retirement, but either it got scrapped or you didn't get to it, like a project event, certain update, any type of major change, anything like that?
Mm.
Well,
Definitely.
yeah, you go.
Oh yeah, I'll go first. Definitely incorporating a strong like quests kind of thing would have been. We always wanted to
Mm,
do that, and I think Vort, who's currently owner, he did set up a few things, but if we could make something that was a bit more story driven and worked, like it was just so hard to do because of the coding aspect of it, and it would always be really glitchy, and the number of people there just made it more like an MMO quest. But yeah, that was definitely something I wish we could have done. I mean, it could still happen, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, my answer is basically the
mhm.
same too. Just before we retired, I'm not sure how much I'm allowed to say because I might get shot in the head by fate. But we would we were building a tutorial, like a quest tutorial based on the same one from DC Universe Online, where you're in Brainiac's ship and you have to escape. And we were building that. It kind of got to, like we built all the sets, had some really talented builders come in and help build that. But it kind of got delayed through some of the coding, so we didn't get to release it before we retired. And I'm still not sure if it's released now, but hopefully we can release that soon because that'll be awesome for when new players join straight away. They get to do this awesome adventure.
So like an introductory adventure kind of thing.
Yeah, they're given temporary powers, and they have Superman as a mentor, sort of thing, and they have to run through Brainiac's ship where they fight off mobs and have to escape the ship before they can enter the real
Mhm.
Justice Craft. It's pretty cool.
That's a good way of going about it. I hope they do figure it. I hope they do get on that actually, because
Yeah, well,
that'd be pretty cool.
it was like 80% done last I checked. So we'll have to get on top of that if it's not out already.
Do you guys have a favorite player suggestion that came into fruition on the server?
Mm.
We had a player suggest to us that we open up a section of the website where you can anonymously report someone, which I thought
Mm-hmm.
was quite a good. People were like not feeling comfortable naming names and things like that, and talking openly about some of their experiences. So having like a portal that just chats directly to staff was a good way of, I guess, destigmatizing it.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah, and
and I made
then,
that straight as soon as they said
reports on
that,
the
I made it
forums.
straight away, and it's
Yeah,
still there now.
reports on the forums would start all these fights sometimes, and
That was the big
the
thing,
clashing
yeah.
would start.
The big thing was the fact that people could comment underneath a ban appeal. So then having this anonymous like forum that you can submit your ban appeal directly to staff just minimize all that drama that came with like a controversial
Yeah,
player putting up a post and then everyone jumping out of the woodwork saying you don't deserve to come back. Like we can then just read what they have to say and make a decision based on that.
yeah. What about you, Pulp?
Um, there's been a few good ones. I think in terms of film, someone suggested that we do like subtitle text so that because we used to do our films like just no dialogue,
Yeah,
so that
that
like
was a
characters
player
would just
suggestion.
walk around.
The captions,
What's that? Sorry.
the the captions for Justice League 3 was a player suggestion.
I think so. Yeah, I think
Mm.
someone watched Captain America, and because there's no dialogue, like you're just pretty much doing guesswork to figure out what's happening with the story. But having dialogue allowed us to just expand on the story so much. Like we could do so much more in terms of what's happening and give a lot more emotion to the film. So that's one good one, and also I think um, making trusted, like having a nominations for trusted rank was another player suggestion.
Yep.
It used to be just a thing that we give to players when we see them around it for a long enough time. The staff team would just hand it out, but
Yep.
nominations was a good way for the players to say, "Oh, check out this guy. Um, this is all the things he's done for the server, and we really like his involvement in the community."
That's a good one.
And it's just
Yeah.
a good like thank you from the staff team to the player to just be like, we really value your input on the server, and here's a rank for it. And they gave you like all sorts of
Hmm.
abilities with that. Yeah.
Yeah. I actually have my pre-written answer to this question as well, and what I was going to say was, I was always fond of Elite Joker 5 for what he did in order to inspire Palp to make it to where players could get nominated as trusted. I think it was a very smart thing to do because that made things a matter of players can now get trusted based on community opinion, not just staff opinion or
Yeah,
owner.
yeah. It pretty
Yeah,
much
Elite
meant
Joker's.
like you would try a lot harder to be liked by the community. Well, not in a bad way, but more like you're trying to be
Yeah, they'd be
involved with
more
the
mindful
community
of it.
to and try and make more friends, and your perception by the community is how you'd get that reward. So
Helping out new
yeah,
Hmm.
players when they join,
yeah,
things like
yeah.
that. Like it's
It
all
just
great stuff.
boosted
Yeah.
the incentive for being a good citizen kind of on the player. Yeah, not on the server.
Yeah,
Sorry.
Elite
Yeah.
Joker's had my respect ever since he did that. And I'm glad that became a feature. What's the total history of Marvel server attempts that JC has made, and what would you have done differently for the AvengerCraft iterations? I remember that there was a whitelisted one done with Riode, and maybe one before that,
Ah,
and then there was AvengerCraft once or twice, maybe three times, if I'm not mistaken.
yeah, there's been a few failed attempts. I'm not sure why. Like it just doesn't seem to um hold down the community the same way that
I
the
think it
GC
goes
server
back to
does.
this first thing that you said, Soups, where if you're building a server for the intention of getting players versus building a server out of just being a place to hang out and
Yeah.
everything else comes from that. JC's always been like a hangout spot that we've just extended the invitation to other people, whereas VentureCraft has always been like, oh, we're building this for
A
Marvel
movie
fans, we're
release
building it
or
for
yeah.
people, yeah.
It's
And
it's kind of like yeah, it's we've rushed it most of the time, like rushed to get it out because there's like a Infinity War or something coming out. Usually we created the servers after watching a movie and being like, "Oh, that's so cool." Like, why can't we be Marvel heroes?
yeah,
Um, but yeah, it's just like you lose motivation and it's missing that spark that JC has, which is like Olympus City and Smallville and all those cool places to hang out.
It always felt a bit cold, like just having like New York and stuff is just kind of cool to look around for a bit, but then you always just want to go back to JC and chill at the Ken Farm or something.
We're
So
trying to compete with a server that's been around for 5+ years versus one that's gone up in a couple of months. Like,
yeah,
Yeah. Um, it was interesting, like on the sidelines, like as a Marvel server and watching how things go, and yeah, it sucks. I'm glad that despite those failed attempts, that JC was able to stand strong, regardless, because that way it's not all going down.
yeah, yeah.
Um, I hate to put you both on the spot, but try to be real with me. Did either of you have a favorite staff member, and do you want to hear mine?
favorite staff member? I'm not sure if I would name favorites, but I love them all. Like, honestly, I love them all.
I think I wouldn't have a favorite staff member, but the staff team that we have currently is one of my favorite iterations because they work so well together.
Yeah, it's
Especially
probably a
with
question that makes more sense to me because I'm a player, so then
yeah,
I naturally pick favorites. Yeah,
and
yeah, that makes
especially
sense.
the owners Vort and Fab. Like both me and Soups agree that they're currently the best suited to be the owners of the server, and that's why we gave them ownership.
Oh, they're
And
way more qualified than we ever were.
yeah, both of them both have the values that we wanted to instill in the server, and they're both super talented in terms of the coding side of things or making powers, and their
There's,
judgment is better than ours in terms of all
there's,
those things.
yeah, the current staff team is great. There's the ex-staff team, like all the ex-staff, lifelong friends as well.
So many people have been
Yeah.
part of the team and have contributed so much to the server.
And they're all
Yeah,
volunteers, end of the day. Like,
Yeah,
these people volunteer their time. So please treat them with respect because they're not being paid for this. They're just fans of the server. They're not really getting any powers that like are way out there or anything like that. Most of the stuff they're doing is just in the trenches, accepting applications, making powers. Like, it's not a fun job. They're people that do it because they love it.
yeah,
yeah, and looking back at my history of staff members, they all, and it makes sense because like in order to become staff, in order to get hired, it's like they all were very, very um performing as staff members, and yeah, you're right. It is hard to pick favorites actually. Um, I guess it only makes sense. Yeah, like I said, it's a more of a question for me as a player. And I'm glad you mentioned the part where about they're not getting paid for this. This is volunteer work. Um, because that actually ties into my favorite staff member. I can answer this since I'm not the owner of the server. Um, Admittedly, my favorite was probably OC. I feel like she was best at verbally responding to situations when needed, should conflict arise.
mm,
Like, that also included dealing with me at times. Like, whenever she was not having it or just felt maybe pushed a little, she'd take that and put it through the lenses of humor in her responses to keep a positive attitude.
I think each staff member had their own skill, their own tactic to dealing with things, and their own skill set. And OC's,
Yeah,
I think, she was probably one of the most nurturing staff members on the
Yeah.
team, and she was
We call her the
always
mother of JC.
really, yeah, she was always just so kind to players and caring, and
She's just a
wanted,
sweetheart, and like
yeah,
I can be a bit of a hothead sometimes. So her calming me down,
yeah,
calming all the rest of the staff down, and just just the nicest person that you can possibly
yeah,
imagine. Wouldn't hurt a fly. I think having
yep,
that different opinion in the staff team was a great way to like settle a lot of
yeah.
arguments.
Definitely the versatility of just different personalities and skill sets played off each
yeah.
other
She
really
was
well.
definitely a good choice for to make one of the admins. Definitely.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, I remember my first time hearing from her was one of my ban appeal interviews. Do you remember we did that like interview thing, like voice chat for ban appeal because I didn't want
Oh
to
yeah,
fill one
yeah,
out. And yeah, very positive attitude person. Very qualified.
yes. Please come
Um,
back, OC, if you're hearing this. She won't.
she's not. Is she no longer staff?
I think she retired as well when we retired. She's like
Mm-hmm.
similar age to Palp and I, so she's living life,
Uh,
having fun.
I shouldn't have asked that. Now I'm gonna cry. Um,
She's always welcome back.
yeah, and this was announced. Well, actually, it was announced back in 2020, I believe. She was actually going to be working with me on Roleplay MC's space slash Star Wars server. She was hired as administrator for that,
She's a massive Star
which
Wars
on that
fan, so
server
I'm
was
not, I'm not
treated as
surprised.
co-owner.
Yeah.
You're not surprised?
No, she loves Star Wars. She always loved Star Wars.
Yeah.
If she had it her way, she'd probably make me turn JC into a Star Wars server.
um, that's actually how that came into. I don't know if you remember, but there was a rumored Star Wars server. It was a rumored JC Star Wars server, but it wasn't a JC Star Wars server because it wasn't being run by you guys. It was being run by one of the JC staff members,
Yes.
or
Yeah, I
quite a
think I
few
remember
of
this.
them.
Yeah.
And basically most JC staff members were working on a Star Wars server. So it looked kind of like JC was making an official Star Wars server. And like, it's gonna sound strange, you know, you know how people look up to you guys. Like, there are people who look up to me as well, and they would voluntarily send me secret, discreet screenshots of the server, like give me a sneak peek that no one's seen, like someone from the inside, and that's how I found out about it. Um, I don't know why, but OC was kind of outed from that production. They didn't want her involved or something like that. So I said, well, my players just suggested that I make a Star Wars server. And at the time, I was working on bringing back um, Roleplay Space Adventures, which is Roleplay MC Space server. But with at the time, The Mandalorian was coming out. All these projects were coming out. I believe Star Wars 9 was coming out. Um, and so then, like, naturally, that project turned into a Star Wars slash space project. I was still keeping the space aspect and including a little bit of Star Wars. And and I introduced the project to her in light of her not being hands on with that JC or alleged JC Star Wars project. And then we started working together on that. And um, if I hadn't have left for 13 months, I took my break. I need to get back on that, honestly. We had some pretty big stuff planned for that server. I made my first two animations ever for that server,
Yeah, you should. You
as server
should.
trailers.
That'd be awesome. Because
Mm.
one of
Yeah,
the big ones, Star Wars MC, I think shut down like maybe last year. So there is a bit of a
yeah,
gap in the market there, and there's a lot of Star Wars fans out there with all these new shows coming out. Um,
yeah. And I hear so many fond memories of these past Star Wars servers. I'm like, whoa, like you guys are, you guys love it. It reminds me of, it's like seeing someone like a fan base such as Marvel or DC from the outside. Because before that came to mind, I had never seen a single Star Wars film ever. I watched Star Wars to learn about it and have the knowledge to make me capable of doing it well. Plus, I had staff members who like OC, who knew the material, knew the genre, and they really helped me out with that. It's gonna be like a Mandalorian, like Wild West space kind of server, and it's pretty far into production. I think to resume it really, but yeah, viewers,
yeah,
keep an eye out for that.
Palp and I were very disconnected from that JC project. We were kind of both inactive at that stage, so I'm sorry to hear it. Like OC was excluded from it. I think I offered to host it, like to pay for the hosting, but I didn't really want any further involvement with it because
Yeah,
um, like JC was my main focus back then, still is today.
yeah. Well, on that project or not, we know OC's a sweetheart. That's definitely my favorite. And I have my second favorite listed as Fabio. I consider him the miniature Superman DC in my mind.
Yeah. He's like our
I
child.
Yes, I love him dearly.
Yeah, I remember when me and you first talked, Soups. I asked about like who's taking over the server. Have you decided yet? And you said Vort and Fab, and you said like mini LC, mini Pulp, and I was like, that's very accurate. I
Except way better.
Vort is a great guy as well.
They're fantastic and they
For,
work really well together.
yeah,
Finding those people that like are young, still willing to do this, plus they're so much like us, and I can see the values that
Yeah,
we have
yeah,
in them. It's awesome to see. It's like I feel secure in leaving everything that we've created in their hands.
yeah, definitely. Before my last question, I think it's probably best if I ask if either of you guys have any honorable mentions.
Um, well, shout out to Julie because he's like one of my best friends, I would say. So shout out to him. And
Yeah,
even if he
pretty
hasn't,
much anyone.
yeah,
Yeah,
even if he hasn't played for like a couple of years, like I talk to that kid every day. Um, shout out to all the ex
there's
staff.
a lot of people that we talk to even these days, like Rian and Julie and Jay Sparks, and yeah, there's just so many people that
Uh,
have been
Trex,
integral to JC.
Trex, OC, Leonixus, Undead.
Trex 3002?
He's a controversial one. He's a good bloke though.
No, I remember him. Yeah, I like him. He's good.
Kitty
Um,
Glaw. Who
Art
else?
Sounds
Girl,
familiar.
Fana.
Yeah, Fenner.
Yep, definitely
There's
found out.
so many lifelong friends that I've made through JC.
Owlman. Yeah.
Speared.
My honorable mentions are as followed. LaQuestion. I feel like he was the biggest advocate. I feel like he was the person who loved the server the most and was also most honest about the server. Like no matter how much he loved the server, he was not afraid to stand by me and say, like, this is what we need to do to grow as a server. Like big much respect to LaQuestion. Um, my second honorable mention is Fabioped09.
Yep.
We call him Fabio. You mentioned him earlier as your favorite portrayal of Doctor Fate, and he was Doctor Strange on Marvel MC back in 2016.
Yeah.
Um, he's very humble guy. Reminds me of you a lot. While also being his own person. Um, he's just very like I can communicate with him without being worried that we'll get off on the wrong foot in kind of way. Like he's very easy to work with and interact with. And it's going to be very, very good for JC to still have someone like that as an owner who
100%.
knows how to take, receive, and also give back in a way in terms of communicating.
One huge honorable
I
mention
think
I gotta say as well is Jax, because he basically saved JC from bankruptcy. So love you, Jax.
I remember that the
Yeah,
$500 donation.
I can't forget you. I didn't
You're not
forget
gonna
you.
believe this, but I was tempted to do the exact same thing.
Well, I did this. I matched what he put in as well. So, but Jax,
Oh
yeah,
yeah,
just seeing that kind of passion for the server is like, wow, like that makes me want to keep going.
yeah,
And the server will
they
keep going as long
definitely.
as there's money.
But yeah, we're set, I think, for many years now.
Yeah,
I just checked, yeah.
My
I just
third
paid for
honorable
like a half a
mention
year,
is
so
Rio.
Yeah.
yes, he did a lot for the server, and I still talk to him. He's a great kid. I think he's studying law at the moment, so smart kid.
Who's this?
Riode,
Rio.
Riode.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, did a lot.
Yeah,
Kind of like the way he was a staff member was kind of like a bit. He was a bit forceful, I guess, but it changed a lot of the toxicity of the server. I think he created the current rules list. Like he did a lot in terms of
he brought
making
it
the
up to me
community a
back in
nice place.
yeah, he mentioned doing like the whole rule system thing and wanting people to follow them. And yeah, he kind of reminds me of a question in a way to where he was honest. He like one thing I noticed a lot is love is blind. Love is blind, and Rio was one of those honest ones. Didn't tolerate anything, and he was the one like kind of running the show from JC Marvel, right, years back.
When he made that Marvel server, I think I was away or something because I came back and it was like a thing and I was like, oh, um, yeah, but he was the owner of that because I wasn't that keen on making a Marvel server. But then eventually
Mm-hmm.
I ended up coming back and making Avenger Craft because originally there was Justice
Mm-hmm.
Craft Marvel, and then there was like Riode Craft, which was his Marvel version, and then eventually I came back in 2018 and made Avenger Craft,
Yeah.
which was probably our most successful one. But it just what seemed to happen was it just split the player base. Like we didn't get any new players really. It was just the same
Mm-hmm.
community split between the two servers. So it just became
Mm-hmm.
non-feasible to like run and moderate both.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned the Jessica Marvel, like the first edition. Like when I first showed up, like for the first time, I had heard that there was just a Marvel server like not too long ago. Like I joined in between Justice Craft Marvel that you just said and Rio's as you call it Rio Craft. Um, I joined in between those two, but I had heard of a JC Marvel that had happened just before I got there, and I remember you told me that it was crap because you had like 20 Spider-Mans and
It was bad.
um
It was bad to say the least.
yeah um and then Rio did his thing. But yeah, I think they're still learning experiences though, and seeing how things would go. The question, Fabioped09 and Rio, y'all are my honorable mentions. Very plausible players in the community.
100%. I got a list here of some X staff. We got Vampire, Fluff, Vort, Rian, um, Undead, OC, Fab, Light, Julie, Spid, Leonixus, Jax, and then all the current staff. Troya, who else we got? Troya, Modfly, Misser, Cam, Joshy, Riddler. If I forget your name, just be happy. Oh, you can see my screen. I'll go back to the chat. There we go. Yeah, so if I forget your name, you know who you are.
Yeah. This is going to be my last question, and it probably has the most ambiguous set of possible answers. And that question is, what is your call to action for the community? Your final words of wisdom and something that you think they should learn or understand for the better the future. Like if you had a if you had the podium, which you do right now, to voice something for everyone to hear, what would it be? Both of you.
Hmm. You want to go first, Palp?
Okay. Well, I'd first say thank you to everyone who's just made this community what it is. It wouldn't be anything if it wasn't for the people. And it also takes an attitude, like an actual mindset in the people to make it a fun place to be. Like it's really easy to just be to join and just be super critical and just not really have a positive outlook on anything. But most people that joined were really just supportive and wanted it to be a safe space for everyone to just express themselves and feel like it was a safe haven to come to from the real world and an escape. Um, if I were to say anything to everyone, it would just be, enjoy these these moments when we are in the community and um, everyone that's not on the server anymore. We all look back and remember the good old days on the server and meeting all the people. And yeah, if I was to say anything, it would just be enjoy these moments and work hard at whatever you're doing and give it all 100%. And whether it's making it your own server or whatever it is in life, like your career or whatever, give it 100%.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I would say just like be accepting of everyone. Like we're all just fans of superhero servers. Don't send any negativity towards competitive servers. Like we've all done it in the past. It's not the right thing to do. Um, be accepting of everyone. Don't discriminate. Just make JC the safest place it can be for the fans of the superhero genre. Because like you just want to go somewhere where you can be yourself. And like I spent many years like denying the fact that I was a server owner to anyone in real life. Like that's not cool. I'm a nerd, whatever. Now I just tell people openly because it like adds character. Like what are they gonna say? Like you're bad for being your true authentic self. Like just own it, man. Because like if you like superheroes, you like superheroes. Who cares? Everyone's a nerd these days. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of true. Everyone's a nerd these days. It's funny to say, but it's not. It's also authentic to say that. Um, I must admit, it took me quite a while to write all these questions. The 10 generic questions were surprisingly easier than coming up with 5 questions specifically for each of you.
Yeah, you've done an
Um,
excellent job.
I
You've done a
Yeah,
fantastic
great
job.
questions.
Oh, thank you. I really appreciate you guys being on board and taking the time to answer all of them. Like, the first time LC and I talked about doing this video was February 2019, I believe.
Well,
Oh, really?
We
Did we?
thought that the both of you were going to retire a lot sooner. So it was definitely long awaited, and I'm glad we got it done.
yeah, me too. It's been a pleasure, and thank you for having us and taking your time out to write the questions and be here with us. It's good to have this chat and sort of immortalize the history a little bit and talk about what our intentions always were for the server, and
Yeah.
also talk about Marvel MC and how really they're just similar in what their intentions are, both of the servers, and it's great to see
Hmm.
all that come to life here.
Yeah. Out of all the videos I've done relating to our servers, I'm certain the community's really going to enjoy this one. So once again, thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Alright, viewers, this has been the now retired owners of Craft, the founders, SupermanDC and SirPalpatine99. Send them your rounds of applause in the comment section down below, along with any takeaways from what they've had to say here. I really made it a mission to ask questions that would result in answers that are beneficial to everyone in one way or another. And if I manage to do that successfully, please let me know. I got all sorts of great feedback on one of my last videos, so I'm looking forward to seeing more of that on this one. But anywho, I hope you guys all enjoyed. I hope a good bit of you made it all the way through, because I know it's gonna be. I know it was like over an hour or 30 minutes that we talked. Um, but yeah, hope you guys all enjoyed. Hope that you were able to learn something about me or the owners, and I hope you guys were able to take away something from it. I think I asked pretty ambiguous questions, and yeah, I'm not gonna take forever on the outro here, but you guys have a good one. Take care.